where has that come from? What have been the biggest shifts for you?
Well, probably the biggest one that stands out by far was the changing of work circumstances due to the mandates.
Yeah, that forcible decision that you didn't really have a choice on.
Yes, that word, again, we talk about words being misused, but that word of mandatory and the connotations that come with that means it doesn't have to be done, but it's mandatory.
Well, really, a mandate should just be two blokes hanging out.
It should be. No, you should go out and hang out and be good friends.
Absolutely.
That was probably the hardest time for me, and it was probably the time where I was at my lowest ebb when it came to financial stuff, because tied to that provider role is that worthiness and all those sorts of things. And in that space of a few years, having to trust that things would be okay, that there would be enough, that we had options, that we could exercise if we chose to. And then it changed my focus on a lot of things, because my mindset was I just had to keep going.
Hello, Quanta folks, and welcome to another episode of Faark the Shoulds. I am Jodi from QuantiMama.
And I'm McGill from QuantiPapa.
I'm McGill.
Darling, how are you?
Good. I'm excited to be having yet another chat with you. This feels like a lovely run at the moment.
We are doing well. It's always nice to be together.
I know, it's kind of actually how we hang out now, isn't it? So otherwise it's just boring conversations about milk or children.
Well, here, one of the ways we carve out some deep dive for ourselves, right?
Absolutely. And almost a secret hack to the longevity of having a really great, healthy relationship, isn't it?
Yes, it's good to sit down, just take time and deep dive into one another's thought patterns and processes. So all you beautiful listeners out there, you're actually our therapists.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being silent parties to this. It's very nice. So what I wanted to talk about today was having what would I call it, like a financial resilience, because I think this is a really juicy topic. It sounds boring as shit, so I appreciate the fact that you might very well be turning off and finding the next interesting thing on your feed to watch. Cute little bunny rabbits doing something in the snow perhaps. But I think it's a really interesting topic because we have been through a few financial fires, which make us sound a bit like inept and probably like we need some sort of financial management, but it's not the case. And it's enshrined now in how we look at finances and how we faark the shoulds as well. So where we put our money and what our philosophy is and how we're sort of entraining our kids with that. And yeah, so I'm really interested in this because what you bring to the party, and I saw you have a big breath in going, all right, I'm on. You're not. What you bring to the party is that really grounded and sometimes practical viewpoint for how we, deal with money, enshrined in the protector and provider role as well, which is obviously so strong in that sort of
and that
divine
plays into
space.
Security role and that sort of stuff, and making sure there's enough and that things are exactly as you said provided for. It's an interesting one, and it's also a huge amount of. We're going to obviously touch on programming again, because so much of what we talk about is undoing that programming that we've been gifted along the way. And
well, let's go straight for the jugular. If you were to say wind back 20 years ago when we'd just started, we'd been dating for a year.
And I didn't have grey hair just yet.
No, I'm absolutely responsible for that. What are the biggest shifts you've had when we talk about this idea of, say, financial abundance? Because we wouldn't have even used that term back then.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was probably easy because we were both working full time, and there's just this endless supply.
Yeah,
there's heaps here, heaps there. Home loan didn't matter because there was that much coming in.
Yeah,
and financial decisions, we weren't really constrained in any way, shape or form. We weren't sort of planning what are we going to be doing in 20 years' time. It was like, oh, do you want to go out for dinner? Yeah, let's go out for dinner. We had dinner last night. That's okay, let's go out for dinner.
Yeah. It was very present living, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very luxurious way to live as well, but it's very present. And I think there's a real mindfulness that's come into our relationship with money, and also a financial abundance mindset as well, that we flick in and out of being quite good at.
I'd say 20 years ago, it probably wasn't even in our scope of thought. We were never frivolous, but yeah, I guess it's not until you sort of move down those paths of changing your life, blowing it up by having, children, or in our case, finding another property that we really desired and making an effort to do that, and also the financial decision we made that you would be home for 12 months to 2 years with every child we had.
Yeah, where you forego income there.
Yeah, and we really made that choice to honour the best start we could for our kids.
Which I still think, I mean, there'll be people that get triggered by that, but I just think it is the best start that you can give your kids. It's, this idea that you have babies to then send them off to childcare is like, it is gaslighting in perfection, because you make all this effort to conceive and then carry the baby, and you make a whole lot of financial decisions on how you want to bring that baby into the world and how you want to show that you're looking after them by buying a $700 pram and all kinds of nonsense like that. But then we kind of think we have to get back into the rat race of work in order to provide for our child, missing the very point that is that our children just want us. They don't care about a $700 pram, to be honest.
Our children have a different mindset of what abundance is.
Yeah.
Abundance to a child is just purely and simply being in a presence with their parents.
Yeah.
And we're in that exact scenario. I mean, we made that choice, and we forewent the income from that point of view, but at the same time, I mean, 18 years ago, I suppose, when we sort of started, but we still had plenty coming in, and life seemed easy.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that theme of what the kids consider, say, financial abundance, they put stock in our time, and that hasn't changed. I mean, I literally got accused of that, quite rightly accused of that by two of the kids yesterday. Like, they basically went for it and just went, you make no time for us. I mean, obviously that's kind of not true, but it's a version of, it's their perception. But you make no time for us, Mum. You're always busy. And I'm like, well, stop asking me to do shit when I actually am busy. Like, read the room, kid.
So competing priorities.
Well, yeah, they are competing priorities. It's an interesting thing, but we still have, like, I could work full time. I could work.
And you have those offers. That offer is on the table for you.
It's on the table all the time.
And say, I want to work full time, and you'd be able to work full time.
Yeah.
But I'm working full time, and we've always made that effort for one of us to be present.
There's a level of presence. Yeah. And I think that's where you can actually, have that finance abundance mindset and still be present as well for your life, right? So you don't miss it. Because I think what I'm noticing is the more and more I look into the way workforce is set out and created, and we're programmed for it, and I realise this happens immediately in school. Right, so part of what school does in training us to have a work mentality, but a work for someone else mentality, is we are taken away from creative pursuits in school. We are given a set break and lunch time, so we're told when to have our breaks. We're told when we're having physical activity and when we're doing sedentary activity. And we're told what we're going to learn. So the spaciousness of the learning it's corralled into certain streams. And I know that that's built for efficiency and stuff, but I see like it's so clear to me now that there is a mindset to create workers who take their breaks when they're told, who do the task when they're told, and we call that school and learning, and it's not. It's entrainment for a life of essentially being of service, but never quite getting on top of things. And so,
well, I mean, that's where the other part of the system comes in, where it's designed to stop you from getting on top of all those things.
yeah,
You know, I mean, the greatest rort of all time is a home loan.
yes.
You know,
We've still got one though, right?
I know we've still got one.
Yeah.
And that's probably, for me, that's probably part of where I struggle sometimes with that financial abundance of wanting financial freedom, but then I look around at where we live and what we've done and created. Okay, there's another side to that coin.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of the the tortoise and the hare, and so there's a bit of the tortoise kind of mindset of how you move towards that. What do you think were the greatest catalysts for changing your financial mindset and creating a real financial resilience? And I say real financial resilience because resilience is, as I've said before, one of the most misused terms in society now, which is basically just trauma for people. But resilience is, it's bloody hard, you recognise it's bloody hard, yet you take a breath and you decide to tackle it again, right? That's resilience. So where has that come from? What have been the biggest shifts for you?
Well, probably the biggest one that stands out by far was the changing of work circumstances due to the mandates.
Yeah, that forcible decision that you didn't really have a choice on.
Yes, yes. That word, again, you talk about words being misused, but that word of mandatory.
Yeah.
And the connotations that come with that means it doesn't have to be done, but it's mandatory.
Well, really, a mandate should just be two blokes hanging out.
It should be. No, you should go out and hang out and be good friends.
Absolutely.
That was probably the hardest time for me, and it was probably the time where I was at my lowest ebb when it came to financial stuff, because tied to that provider role is that worthiness and all those sorts of things. And in that space of a few years, having to trust that things would be okay, that there would be enough, that we had options, that we could exercise if we chose to. And then it changed my focus on a lot of things, because my mindset was I just had to keep going. Whether probably to the negative, but sometimes probably never happy if you're not necessarily happy with it, or if it's not lighting up, or if it's not doing this. For this point in time, you just got to keep going. But I always knew that I'd get through. And I guess you probably took a lot of control over a lot of stuff for us then. And that allowed me to go, okay, you've got that. I've just got to work on me. Yeah. And, I think that was probably where the biggest change came, of looking at it going, oh, it's going to be what it's going to be. The most important things aren't where we live. The important things are the relationship that I've got with my darling wife, the relationship that I've got with my kids. You know, those things suddenly, they've always been of high value, but they were suddenly of such preeminence that you sort of look at it and go, the other stuff doesn't really matter. So,
was there a moment where that occurred for you?
I can't pick out one individual one. It was felt like a long period of time of feeling really unseated.
Yeah, I can imagine there are many moments that occur to you that were hard, because I've witnessed that. And it's funny because I don't often tell people, but for about 5 seconds when all that shit was blowing up and we made what was a decision that was a fait accompli, which was we're not doing a medical procedure for work. Right, just made no sense whatsoever. Particularly me from a clinical background. I just went, this makes no sense whatsoever. So in that moment, when we talk about financial mindsets and financial resilience, I took up some not very highly paid work cleaning a pub at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I did it at 5 because we had to do it out of business hours. But that was substantially outside business hours because I didn't want to affect the family time. So I did it in the invisible hours. And I'm not saying that to go, oh, look at me, aren't I great? It was that thing of, how can I do this and have the least amount of impact on the family that felt in flow, but also why was it so important to go and, earn $25 an hour to race around? I tell you, cleaners are underpaid, so I am well aware of that now. But why was it important to go and get $25 an hour to clean a pub? It was about keeping an open line of conversation with the universe to say, we still welcome money in here. We're not giving up a 20-year career to say we don't want money anymore. Like, I wanted that to be aware in the universal field, in the universal soup, in the quantum. I wanted that known that we were not saying no to finance or financial abundance. We were just willing to look at other alternate places. And it's funny because when I look back at stuff, even when we've had moments of struggle, money's always just appeared.
Yeah, it has.
Like, weirdly, hasn't it? Where
Yeah.
suddenly we get gifted some money, or something just sells, or something else happens out of the blue, or, some of my work is sporadic, with doing placentas, women birth at different times. And so it would suddenly be that just, 3 women would birth in 1 week and we would have this abundance once again. And I think surrendering to that can sometimes feel the scariest thing because it's so loaded, finance. Like, it's attached to your shelter. It's attached to your food. It's attached in some ways to how successful you view yourself as a parent for what you can provide and how you can contribute to your community, being just your family, but also your wider community as well. So it was really interesting to me that it just kept, that has been a theme, hasn't it?
And then we'll keep going down that path. And then you start clinging to that need to supply all those things or to do all those things for yourself or the people around you, and you start tying up your energy. And I think that's the other big shift that's come, is instead of looking at financial stuff as physical money, changing the mindset that it's just a form of energy.
Yeah.
And it almost seems that the system that we're sort of trying to move more and more to the outside of is trying to tie up your energy, your positivity, your resilience.
Yeah.
To be a reliance on something that, you need it.
Yeah.
But energetically,
yeah,
once we tie up that energy, we stop the flow of energy. And if money is energy, and if we are energy and we are in flow, then things are going to flow. And we kept getting, exactly as you said, those examples of that. And it's funny because I remember when I was training martial arts, and I was instructing northern suburbs of Melbourne, which can be a pretty rough area. And these 16, 18-year-old young men would come in with huge chips on their shoulders, but also a real unknowing of what they were going to do with their lives. And I remember one guy in particular, he came in and he didn't want to learn anything. He just wanted to beat someone up. So, of course, I volunteered for that. Yeah. And he only lasted about 8 weeks at the club. And it probably took the first 4 weeks of him coming in and, trying to brain me for every session, for him to realise that he couldn't do that at that point in time, and that there was something to learn, but for him to finally actually say what he was confused about, and it was that he was getting all this pressure on get out of school, get a job, you're no good in school, this is no good for you, start earning money, what are you going to do with your life? And he was just a bit at sea. And
big questions,
huge
for
questions
anyone,
for a 16 turning 17-year-old boy who's got, so all that anger wasn't necessarily aimed at me, but it was interesting to work through. And so he started, it was 6 weeks before he asked me about what I did. And then when I told him, obviously, it took him back a little bit. I'm a police officer at that point in time, and then he just sort of had that deer in headlights look of, hang on a minute, I don't like the police, but I like you. So suddenly he saw behind the veil that there's a person there as well. And I said to him, it doesn't matter what you do, and it's going to be a bit harsh, but I said to him, if you like to shovel shit and you get paid to shovel shit, and you do it for 16 hours a day and you do it 7 days a week, but you don't care, you just do it, then go and do it, because your energy is positive. And I said, you're going to be happy at work, so you're going to bring that happiness home into your family life, whatever that is. So therefore you're going to be successful. And I didn't have the insight at 24, 25, 26 to understand what I was actually saying. But I look at it.
Sound like you did, though.
It does. So wherever that message dropped in, for me to say that to this kid, it was salient. It was just, hang on a minute, I need to hear that. And it was that whole thing of saying to this kid, it doesn't matter what you do as long as you are happy with who you are. Because the happiness with who you are sends out a positive vibe. That positive vibe is going to attract positive people into your world. That positive vibe, positive people is going to have positive outcomes. So suddenly that whole energetic thing that we're starting to touch on is all taken care of itself, because everything you're doing is just blowing away the negativity.
Yeah. Well, you really, I mean, we can articulate it now that we know that we're living in a flow place, in a flow state. And I think that's what we gravitate quite naturally towards now. Why wouldn't we, right? Because it feels a hell of a lot nicer than trying to swim upstream or, catch boulders that are thrown at you, and that does happen. And so I think one of the things that this comes up a lot when we're talking to people who have got kids that are struggling and just say, I don't know how to do it financially. And it's like, well, you need to decide what the finances actually mean. If it's just money, then leave your kids in the space that doesn't seem to be helping them and keep going to work and just keep doing the same thing, right, if it's just money. But when you change the concept of what financial abundance is and what that looks like in your family, that financial abundance can be that you've got a whole lot of stuff growing in your garden. I mean, things you can eat, not weeds like we do, but things you can eat.
Not weeds you're going to sell.
Yeah, no, not weeds you're going to sell either, obviously. But, things that you can eat in the garden would be a form of financial abundance because they cost money usually. So the difference is that you actually have a different mindset when you look at all the beautiful veggies you've grown in your garden and you look at those in a bowl or in a meal that you've created for yourself. It signifies something that would have cost money. Either you would have gone out and bought the meal at a restaurant, or you would have gone and bought those ingredients to create that meal, right? So how we think of these things is about then how that forms our decisions, and it comes back to the foundational stuff. And I mean, I'm so grateful that we mostly, stay in parallel or on the same tracks with our foundational beliefs and our foundational wishes and dreams for our family, because with that brings a cohesiveness with how we tackle each of those, speed humps as they come up. But one thing that is becoming plainer and plainer to me is this obsession that we have to have the latest of everything is a recipe for dis-ease. Like it just is creating this preoccupation with the material. You will never be sated. You will stay in a lack state because you never have the latest thing. As soon as you buy something, it's no longer the latest thing, right? It gets replaced.
Well, and it's also that becomes your energetic focus. So
correct.
You miss the chance of having something simple. You brought up, if you grow your own veggies and you make that bowl of food and you sit down and you eat that, take even the financial aspect away from it and just look at the pure energetic aspect, where taking the time to work with nature, we're taking the time to interact with those plants. We're taking the time then to collect them, to harvest them, to make them, and there's no doubt that the positive energy that's being put into that is then flowing back into ourselves. And, everyone's financial journey, because we're tied to a system that relies on finances, is different. But the chances, the things that you can do and that we've done over time is where you can be generous, particularly with your friends and particularly with your family and the people that, if you can raise the vibration of the people around you, then that's going to have long-term flow-on effects. And then you can also look at your random act of kindness here and there along the way as well. Like, remember the Pay It Forward, when you used to get coffees when we'd be going up to Melbourne years ago, and we'd pull in and they go, the person in front of you or someone four cars ahead or 400 coffees ago paid for the person behind's coffee, and everyone's just kept paying for it. And you sort of look at it.
It felt amazing too, though, to be part of that.
You pay for your coffee, but it pays for the person behind you until it hits someone that goes, you know what, I just haven't got it this week. Yeah, I really need this coffee, but that $5 or $7 is just going to make a massive difference for me. I'm just going to take that gift. And I hope that somebody takes that gift at the end of the day, because that's what it is. I think for financial abundance, I think it's for us, it's been a lot of mindset change. Yes. And it's been a lot of recognising that physical money itself is just a block on a lot of energy.
Well, there's a great amount of uncertainty out there too, with particularly fiat money, and I think that's what's helping, fuel this dissonance that's happening for people, is that they can't be sure of the things they used to be sure of. You can't be sure. Kerry and I had this conversation with Carmel Pavan, who is from As Good as Gold. She's the general manager of Victoria, and they're a gold company. And, it blew my mind when she said, if we all went in and withdrew the maximum amount that the bank will let you withdraw, because they only assure a certain amount, right? So you can't actually go in and say you had 100,000, wouldn't that be nice? 100,000 sitting in your bank account. I'm just manifesting that right now. But say you had 100,000 sitting in your bank account and you went into the bank to withdraw it. It wouldn't happen. They would say no. Simple as that.
We found that.
People don't know that though, right? No. So what I'm saying is that there is an unraveling for people for stuff they knew to be so that was never so. It was just, they were told it was so and trust us. But this idea that you can go and get your money at any time is, abjectly not so.
And even if you organise to withdraw that out, as we've found in the past when we've taken out larger sums of money.
Yeah, like for buying cars and caravans. You have to
justify why you're doing it. You have to justify where you're buying it from. You have to answer a number of questions. And I remember we spoke to the bank manager because we were quite insulted at that point.
I was particularly, and McGill kept giving me elbows in the ribs.
Yeah, and just wait to get the cash and then you can be annoyed. And where you actually ask the question, well, what if I refuse to answer these questions? And he said, then I can refuse to give you your money.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
And I think that sort of starts going, hang on a minute, this whole system's a house of cards.
And it shut me up. It shut me up. I had a vision and went, shit, I better play the long game here. Like, I got it. I shut my mouth. But it does change things. And so I think that's where that financial resilience, I think certainly for a lot of our Quanta folks, is about you can't guarantee any of it, right? So even if you look at, as Carmel suggests, look at precious metals, which I think have validity because they're not ones and zeros, or you look at cryptocurrency because there is certainly a truck ton of evidence that centralised digital currencies will be coming in, so CDCs. And so people, might very well want to look at decentralised digital currencies as well, but they are ones and zeros. Or whether you play in the stock market or whatever you might do, whether you buy property, which can always be devalued. You know what I mean? There is no assurance of anything other than your relationships and your health and your presence of where you are right now. Like, that's it. The rest of it is anyone's guess. And there are definitely forces at play that are looking to affect control or change, and that's not to create fear. That's about knowing the rules of engagement, right? And so how do you then create that financial resilience mindset that is anchored in abundance when you live in an uncertain world?
So would you remove the word financial and just say that you need resilience and belief in abundance?
Yeah, well, my practice now, because I feel a responsibility raising children in this environment, and then I have to remember we all chose to be here. Mm-hmm. We would have liked to have actually seen the terms and conditions and fine print, I reckon.
I think every parent, every generation, including our own, has probably said that, darling.
Oh, my God. I know. I mean, I do. I feel that responsibility. Then I look at my kids and I say, mainly to myself, but I say it to them, at any given juncture, you will know the answer. You just literally need to quieten yourself and listen to the voice within, because I do think we have our own set of instructions within. I do think we have access to that when we reduce the noise of our life. And part of that noise is the commercially driven, very material world that we live in. All of that removes or dims your access to your inner voice. But when you quieten, when you embed yourself in nature, where you re-regulate your vibration with the earth frequencies, I think all of that comes in super fast.
And that's a choice of what energy you choose to value.
Yeah.
What energy you choose to be your finance.
Yeah.
If that's connecting with nature and living in alignment and working down that path, which we've moved towards more and more, or if that's going out and getting the latest thing and chasing the dream that way, it still comes down to an individual's choice.
It does.
And it's got to be what speaks to you.
Yes.
We're just talking about what speaks to us.
Well, because I think it's better. Like, I realise I sound like an asshole, but it's better. It just is. I mean, it's just so much more rewarding. I think the cells of your body will register that. You will feel so different. You will hook into something that is greater than yourself, and you will understand what it is to be alive in this wild world, in this crazy old skin sack that we get to take out for all manner of experiences. I'm just absolutely convinced of that. And I completely accept there will be people out there who are not convinced of that. But my sneaking suspicion is they haven't experienced it yet. And when they do, they'll get it, however that unfolds for them. But I absolutely am convinced. So how do we want to round out this conversation? I mean, the point of talking about financial resilience is, I think, to somehow give you beautiful quanta folk some assurance that you don't need to participate in the hustle, because I actually think that is the disquiet that is happening for people.
Well, I would
out
say
there.
That's the energy block that's, probably long-term slowing you down.
Absolutely, and keeping you sick, and keeping you disconnected from the stuff that will feel like life-changing moments. What are your parting thoughts, McGill?
For me, what I've been working on, I guess, the last 12, 18 months is that feeling of seeing everything as energy. So working more and more and trying to be in flow with the energy around me. And for me, it's mentally always being a positive or a higher vibe energy, and just putting that out there. And I think that's flowing for me into so many other belief systems that I've had over the years, and programming that I'm changing is because I just look at it and go, well, it's now irrelevant because I don't give it relevance.
Love that.
Love you.
I love you. You're a very lovable kind of gent.
Well, you're still here after 20 plus years, so I'll take that as a positive. And you're still smiling.
Occasionally. No, it's good. Thank you so much. I mean, as I said, I really value your perspective on this because I think and I've said this before, there is a luxuriousness to being the primary care provider because you get to go, well, we've decided that one of us is going to look after the kids and so that'll be me and so therefore I don't earn as much and so I don't have that pressure. But, what you particularly navigated, 4 years ago, however long it was, who knows, time's collapsing. That took a shit ton of surrender and a shit ton of burning through, conceptions and identities and belief systems that were actually only skin deep. They'd been gifted to you. And that's a lot, man. That is a lot. So to come out and still have a sense of humour is an extraordinary thing, let alone the magnificent human that you are and how you show up.
Thank you, darling.
You're quite nice. Thanks, beautiful.
And occasionally humorous.
And occasionally humorous. Beautiful Quanta folks. Thanks for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you for the deep dive, darling.
Yeah. My wish is that you take a moment if you feel that you are enslaved to your life, just to look at what tiny tweaks you could make. I'm not suggesting wholesale change.
What in that life is the real value?
Absolutely.
Because it starts with you.
Yeah, and your foundational values.
Value the people around you and then look at the world differently.
And of course, faark the shoulds. See you, beautiful Quanta folks.
Bye.
Beautiful Quanta folks. At QuantiMama, we have a mandate that we feel so passionate about. We want and we are raising the community's vibration and frequency and consciousness through parenting and birth experiences. Such incredible, transformational experiences that will shape you as a person and are the very fabric of life. Do you want to find out how to high vibe your experience even more? Then QuantiMama is your place. Head there for the High Vibe Birth course, Ultimate Preparation for Birthing. Head there if you want to re-engage your child in the love of learning for the Take the Leap course, which is a deschooling course for parents. There's beautiful mind movies, and obviously this podcast is there, and we are here to support you. So head there for all the juice. Beautiful Quanta folks. At QuantiMama, we have a mandate that we feel so passionate about. We want and we are raising the community's vibration and frequency and consciousness through parenting and birth experiences. Such incredible, transformational experiences that will shape you as a person and are the very fabric of life. Do you want to find out how to high vibe your experience even more? Then QuantiMama is your place. Head there for the High Vibe Birth course, Ultimate Preparation for Birthing. Head there if you want to re-engage your child in the love of learning for the Take the Leap course, which is a deschooling course for parents. There's beautiful mind movies, and obviously this podcast is there, and we are here to support you. So head there for all the juice.